this is from ESPN. 89 wide receivers and tight ends are ranked with receiving scores. Takes into account how well they perform in getting open, making the catch, generating yards after the catch. Again, this is of 89, and here are some of the Browns' numbers. Cedric Tillman is 76. David Njoku is 81. Harold Fannin is 82. Isaiah Bond is 83. Jerry Jeudy's 87 out of 89. That explains the challenges that you're having throwing the football. My question is, why haven't they done anything higher than a third-round pick on a wide receiver? It's a passing league. They've struggled mightily to throw the football. And, you had Anthony Schwartz. That was a bad pick. That was a third-round pick. And Cedric Tillman was a third-round pick.
Yeah, I think a couple of those grades are probably low. Fannin feels like he should be higher, maybe Njoku. But the gist is correct, and we talked about it, right? The targets are not good enough, and that starts at receiver. David, the only explanations I can come up with for why the Browns haven't invested more in the receiver position is they've gotten picks wrong, and maybe they don't trust themselves to take a guy in the top 2 rounds, and they don't value the position highly enough. And, I don't think Andrew Berry would ever tell you that, but I don't know what the other reasonable explanation is for not trying to improve that position with, big time free agents. And they got Odell, but they traded for Odell, but that was years ago. That was before Barry. They made the Amari Cooper trade, which paid off. They traded for Jerry Jeudy. So they've made some moves, but through the draft, you're right. But they missed on Anthony Schwartz. I think they missed on David Bell. It's too early to tell on Cedric Tillman. So I just don't know if they trust their infrastructure there. But what's head scratching is if you don't have an elite quarterback, which they haven't had, then you got to support that guy with big time weapons. Yep. And that's what they failed to do. So you have, poor weapons pulling down a young or an average quarterback. And we've just seen that too often.
Yeah. And, that would be my, people want to know, why can't they get chunk plays? Well, they can't get chunk plays because they don't have guys that are playmakers on the outside. And that's every often, look at Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco goes to the Bengals, and he's got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and all of a sudden he looks a little bit better.
Yeah, those guys can make a play in double coverage, right? They're not falling down when, like we saw Jeudy and we've seen Tillman fall down this year. Isaiah Bond has speed. They tried to throw a go route to him yesterday, and it didn't work, but he didn't look like he's small. So it's not a huge target running down the field like a DK Metcalf is, and he's also not 6 yards in front, so it's not an easy throw. They just don't have that, and you combine that with a lack of time for the quarterback, and it makes it difficult to get these chunk plays, which are critical because you talk about sustaining drives. It's really difficult to do that, and you get one penalty, and then you're screwed. So that's why you need these chunk plays, so you don't have to be perfect all the time. You don't have to stay on the field for 12 plays.